Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a specific kind of corporate nightmare.
Hmm.
It's a scenario that I think is keeping a lot of C-suite executives staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. We're talking about the gap.
The gap.
Yeah, that incredibly expensive, frustrating, and frankly embarrassing gap between a flashy AI demo and a system that actually survives in the wild.
It's the Monday morning demo trap. It is quickly becoming a classic genre of corporate tragedy.
It really is.
Yeah.
And to navigate this, we are unpacking a very timely and I'd say necessary new book, AGENTIC AI 2.0, From Prototype to Production by Robert Meyer.
Right.
And before we get too deep into the weeds, we should probably define our terms.
Yeah.
Because the buzzwords are flying thick and fast these days. When we say agentic AI, we're not just talking about a chatbot like ChatGPT that writes haikus, right?
No, that's a crucial distinction to make right at the top. A chatbot is passive, it waits for you, it's a conversationalist. Agentic AI has agency. That's the key word. You give it a high-level goal, like book me a flight to London under $600, or audit these 3 years of invoices, and it goes off and performs a series of actions to achieve that goal.
Without you holding its hand.
Exactly. It uses tools, it browses the web, it makes decisions.
Which sounds great in theory. It sounds like the future we were promised.
In theory, it's revolutionary. It's the difference between, say, an intern you have to micromanage and a seasoned executive assistant.
But Meyer starts the book with a scenario that I think will trigger some PTSD for our listeners who work in enterprise tech. Picture this. It's Monday morning, 9 a.m. You're in the boardroom. The coffee is fresh. The dev team fires up this new autonomous agent on the big screen, and it is perfect.
Of course it is.
It's digging up data. It's polite. It's fast. The executives are high-fiving. The CTO looks like a genius. The budget gets approved on the spot.
It's the honeymoon phase. Everyone sees the potential and completely ignores the physics of the situation.
Exactly. But then Meyer, fast forward 6 months, same room, same people, but now the mood is toxic.
Right.
The agent is live, but it's failing. Automation isn't at the 80% they promised. It's stuck at maybe 45%. Costs have doubled.
And the staff are working around it?
They're actively bypassing the tool because they don't trust it. And the CIO is left sweating bullets trying to explain to the board why they spent a fortune on software that nobody uses.
It sounds dramatic, but Meyer brings the receipts.
He does. What is the actual failure rate for these projects? Because I think people assume if the tech is good, it just works.
It's brutal. The research cited in the book puts the failure rate for agentic AI projects, and specifically that transition from cool prototype to a working production system, at between 75 and 85%.
That is a staggering number. I mean, if 85% of bridges collapsed, we'd stop building bridges.
We would. But the promise of the tech, the potential for efficiency, it's so high that companies keep trying. And that's really Meyer's mission with this book. He argues that this isn't a coding manual. You won't find pages of Python scripts. This is a strategic roadmap. It's for the C-level CIOs, CTOs, VPs of engineering to make sure they land in that successful 20%. Not the failing 80.
So let's dissect that failure. Meyer's central thesis is that the problem usually isn't the AI model itself. It's not that GPT-4 or Claude aren't smart enough.
No, the problem is a massive underestimation of what he calls productionization.
It's the difference between a toy and a tool.
It is. Meyer distinguishes between what he calls level 1 prototypes and a true production system. See, prototypes are built for the happy path.
The happy path. I love that term. It sounds so optimistic.
It is. It's the ideal world. In the happy path, the APIs always respond instantly. The user always asks perfectly clear questions. The data is always clean. It's a lab.
I've worked in enterprise tech for a long time. That world does not exist.
Exactly. In the real world, legacy systems have latency spikes, databases time out, users type in gibberish.
Or they try to trick the bot.
And here's the kicker that Meyer emphasizes. Standard software is deterministic. If I write code that says if A, then B, it will always do B.
But AI is probabilistic.
Correct. Non-deterministic. You can give an agent the exact same input on Tuesday that you gave it on Monday and get a slightly different output. If your system isn't built to handle that ambiguity, it doesn't just stumble, it crashes. Or worse, it hallucinates, it confidently makes things up.
So Meyer breaks the solution down into 7 critical dimensions that separate a prototype from a production asset. We can't cover all 7, but I want to drill into the ones that really matter for the bottom line.
Okay.
Let's start with error handling, because this seems to be where the illusion breaks first.
This is usually where the first cracks show up. In a traditional app, if something breaks, you get an error code.
Simple enough.
In an agent, it's much more complex.
Meyer uses a term here that I really like: graceful degradation. It sounds like a smooth jazz album, but what does it mean in an AI context?
Think of it like a resilient employee versus a rigid one. Imagine you have a customer service agent designed to do 3 things: check order status, update addresses, and recommend products.
Okay.
To check the order status, it needs to hit the legacy SQL database.
Which, being a legacy database, goes down every other Tuesday, or whenever the IT guy sneezes.
Right, so in a level 1 prototype, if that database is down, the agent just hits a wall. It throws a generic error like system failure and shuts down completely. It's useless.
Which frustrates the customer and kills their trust. They just go, "Stupid bot," and call the support line.
Exactly. Graceful degradation means the agent is context-aware enough to say, hey, I'm having trouble accessing your specific order history right now, but I can still help you update your address or find a new product.
So it walls off the broken part but keeps the rest of the shop open.
Precisely. It maintains value even during a partial system failure. That takes deliberate architectural design. You don't get that out of the box with a simple API wrapper.
The other dimension that I think will scare our listeners straight, and honestly it should, is cost management.
Oh, yeah.
Because the pricing model for AI is weird. It's not a flat license fee.
No, it's consumption-based. You pay per token.
Can we just explain tokens briefly? Because that term gets thrown around a lot, but the economics of it are really tricky.
Sure. A token is the basic unit of currency for large language models. It's basically a chunk of text, think, roughly 3/4 of a word. You pay for every token you send to the AI, the prompt, and every token it generates in response.
Okay, so Meyer shares this horror story in the book about a startup that got this math completely wrong.
The $52,000 surprise?
Yeah. They estimated their AI costs would be about $500 a month. Very manageable.
Totally.
They launch, and 2 months later, they get a bill for $52,000. How does a discrepancy that big even happen? That's not a rounding error.
It wasn't one big mistake. It was a compound fracture of engineering failures. First, they had unoptimized context windows.
Which means
The context window is the AI's short-term memory. It's everything the AI is reading at that moment to answer your question.
okay.
This company was feeding the entire customer history, thousands of pages of text into the AI for every single simple question.
So they were paying to have the AI read War and Peace just to answer, "Where is my package?"
Exactly, every single time. And on top of that, they had retrieval loops. The agent would get confused, try to pull more data, get confused again, pull the data again.
Just looping endlessly.
And every millisecond, the meter is running.
It's like leaving a tap running, but instead of water, it's liquid cash draining out of the company account.
And nobody set up a circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker.
A hard limit. A simple line of code that says, if this request costs more than $5, stop immediately. Meyer argues that cost engineering cannot be an afterthought. You need dashboards tracking spend in real time.
If you wait for the monthly invoice from OpenAI or Azure,
You're already dead.
that is terrifying. Okay, so that's the risk. That's the scared straight portion of the deep dives.
Right.
But I want to pivot to the reward. Because Meyer isn't saying, don't do this. He's saying, do it right.
Right.
And he provides these blueprints, case studies of companies that nailed it.
And the ROI in these cases is undeniable. It proves why you take the risk.
Let's talk about tech manufacturer. This is a mid-market manufacturer, 15 sites, and their problem was procurement.
A classic mess. Decentralized, chaotic, every site manager buying from different suppliers, ignoring negotiated rates, buying ad hoc.
So they implement a procurement agent.
Yeah.
But, and this is the key point Meyer makes, they didn't just turn it loose to buy whatever it wanted.
No. They didn't give the robot the company credit card with no limits.
Yeah.
They used what Meyer calls a hybrid autonomy model. This is a best practice that I think every enterprise listener should write down.
How does that work?
It's based on risk thresholds. For orders under, say, 5,000 euros, the agent is fully autonomous. It checks the budget, checks the approved supplier list, places the order, done. No human rubber stamp.
Which gets the low-value busy work off the human's plate. Nobody wants to spend their day approving toner cartridges.
Exactly. But for orders over that amount, or for strategic deals with new vendors, the agent switches modes. It becomes an advisor.
An advisor.
It gathers the data, it compares suppliers, it even suggests negotiation strategies. But a human makes the final call.
I like that distinction. It builds trust. You prove competence on the small stuff before you get the keys to the car.
And the results were massive. Time to order dropped from 8.5 days down to just over 2. And they saw a 25% cost reduction.
Wow.
Not just from efficiency, but because the agent ruthlessly enforced supplier agreements that humans were ignoring because it was inconvenient.
That's efficiency. But let's talk about accuracy, because in some fields, mostly right is totally unacceptable.
Right. If you're generating marketing copy, a little hallucination is, creative. If you're doing taxes, it's fraud.
Which brings us to the second case study Meyer details, Stur Kontor Schmidt, a tax consulting firm. The stakes here are incredibly high.
They are. The German tax authority, like the IRS, doesn't have a sense of humor about AI errors. You can't just tell the auditor, sorry, the robot did it.
So how did they deploy an agent without getting sued into oblivion?
Meyer describes a very strict human-in-the-loop architecture. The agent does all the heavy lifting data extraction from receipts, pattern matching, filling out the forms, but the agent cannot submit.
The submit button is disabled for the bot.
Physically cannot do it, completely. It hands the draft to a certified tax advisor. The human becomes the quality assurance layer.
So the human role shifts from data entry to verifier.
Exactly. And here's the interesting part. Because all the grunt work was done, the advisors could focus on the complex nuances and strategy, and their error rate actually dropped. By 95% compared to manual entry.
Right. The AI was more accurate than the humans?
For data extraction, absolutely. Humans get tired. We mistype numbers, we get bored, agents don't. But the human was still needed for the judgment calls. They hit a 200 to 30% ROI.
That really reframes the whole AI taking jobs narrative. It's not replacing the tax advisor. It's making the tax advisor faster and more accurate.
Meyer's very clear on this. Successful agents don't replace humans. They free them from drudgery. It allows your experts to actually be experts.
So if we have the technology, we have the use cases.
Yep.
But Meyer dedicates a huge chunk of the book to the part most tech leaders ignore, the organization.
The people chart. This is where the rubber meets the road. You cannot just hand an autonomous agent to your standard DevOps team and wish them luck.
Why not? They run the servers. They know how to keep the lights on.
They do. But an agent isn't a server. A server is deterministic. An agent is, well, it's behaving. Meyer introduces the concept of agent tops.
Agent tops. Okay. Is that just a buzzword, or is it actually different from DevOps?
It's functionally different. DevOps is about uptime and latency. Agent tops is about behavioral reliability. It involves instrumentation, observation, and learning. Yeah. You aren't just fixing bugs. You're monitoring the logic and the decisions the agent makes. You're watching its thought process.
And Meyer argues this requires totally new job titles. He lists a few, but two really stood out to me as critical hires. First, the agent designer. Now, is that a coder?
No, and that's the important distinction. They aren't writing Python. The agent designer is the person who translates complex business rules into the agent's persona and decision logic.
They're the bridge.
They are the bridge between the business need and the AI's brain. They need to understand the business process deeply.
So they're the architect of the agent's personality and rules.
Okay.
And the second role was the agent ops engineer.
This is a hybrid role. They need the reliability discipline of a DevOps engineer, but they also need to understand LLM hallucinations, prompt engineering, and the token economics we just talked about.
So they're the one watching the dashboards to make sure the $52,000 bill never happens again.
That's their job. You wouldn't ask a mechanic to fly the plane, even if they know how the engine works. You need a pilot. And there's one more organizational piece Meyer emphasizes that I think solves a huge headache for large companies. The internal agent marketplace.
This sounds like an app store, but for the company.
Basically. The danger with agents right now is sprawl. Marketing builds a customer agent. Sales builds a lead agent. Support builds a service agent. Suddenly, you have 3 different agents.
All paying to access the same data, all ignoring each other, all creating security holes. A chaotic mess. Silos on steroids.
A marketplace centralizes it. You build a customer data capability once, and then everyone reuses it. It forces governance without stifling innovation. It's how you scale without breaking the bank.
Smart. Now, looking ahead, the book closes with a look at the next 12 to 24 months. And Meyer talks about some concepts that sound like science fiction, particularly self-healing systems.
This is the holy grail of agent ops.
When I hear self-healing, I think of Wolverine. But I assume we're talking about code. How does an agent heal itself?
Let's go back to that context window issue we discussed, the short-term memory filling up.
Right, the agent crashes.
In a standard system, yes. A self-healing agent detects the error code. It realizes, oh, I'm out of space. It pauses. And it performs a specific strategy called context pruning.
Pruning. Like trimming a bonsai tree.
In a way, it analyzes its own conversation history, summarizes the older parts to save space, keeps the recent relevant parts, and then just retries the task.
And this all happens without a human getting a pager alert.
Zero human intervention. It diagnoses itself, takes the medicine, and finishes the job. That is eponymous remediation.
That changes the game for reliability. If the system can fix its own jams, you can scale much faster.
Completely. And it pairs with another trend Meyer predicts, agent as a service.
Which is?
The democratization phase. Right now, building these agents is hard. It requires serious engineering. Soon, we'll see plug-and-play platforms where you just drop in your company data, your PDFs, your databases, and the platform spins up a pre-configured agent.
It lowers the barrier to entry. Which leads to Meyer's final and I think most provocative argument about the data moat. Because if the tech gets easier and everyone has access to the same GPT-6 or whatever comes next, where is the competitive advantage?
That's the critical question for the C-level listener. Meyer argues that if you wait until the tech is perfect and easy, you've already lost.
Why? If I could just buy the perfect agent in 2 years, why suffer through the clumsy phase now?
Because the companies deploying now, even with the clumsy early versions, are gathering operational data. They are learning specifically how their customers interact with agents.
I see.
They are building a repository of edge cases, those weird one-in-a-million scenarios that break the system.
So the failure data is the gold.
Exactly. In 2 years, that repository of edge cases and fixes becomes a competitive moat that a latecomer cannot buy. You can buy the AI model, but you can't buy the operational wisdom of how to apply it to your specific business.
So the early struggles are actually the investment in future dominance. You're buying the learning curve.
You are. And that's why Meyer says the biggest risk isn't that the project fails. The biggest risk is not starting because you're waiting for certainty.
To wrap this up, AGENTIC AI 2.0 isn't really a book about technology, is it? It feels more like a book about management.
It is. It's about business transformation. We are talking about potential efficiency gains of 60 to 80%. We are talking about shifting your workforce from being gatekeepers to being augmented experts.
But only if you survive that Monday morning demo trap.
Only if you invest in the boring stuff. The error handling, the governance, the agent ops, the things that don't look sexy on a slide deck but actually keep the system running.
So if you're a leader looking at your roadmap, Meyer's book seems like the manual you didn't know you needed. It's about understanding the how, not just the whether.
It's the difference between a prototype that gets a few high fives and a production system that drives the bottom line. It bridges that exact gap.
I want to leave our listeners with a final thought to chew on. Meyer poses this implicitly throughout the book. In 3 years, every company, including your competitors, will have access to the exact same AI models. The intelligence will be a commodity.
Like electricity, it'll be ubiquitous.
So the differentiator won't be the AI. The differentiator will be the system you built around it. Will your organization be struggling with manual processes and disconnected bots, or will you have a self-healing autonomous enterprise?
The roadmap you build today decides that.
A huge thanks to Robert Meyer for this comprehensive guide. AGENTIC AI 2.0 is available now. If you are in the C-suite or aspiring to be, you probably need this on your desk. Go check it out. And thanks to all of you for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.